Well, welcome to Harry, Jim, and Gervin's book club. And today we have a chapter 6 or part 6, which is Zahara teaching Dear Liza. And I want to show you the cover of the book, Dear Liza. You can see it is a very short book, small book. And hi, Mark. Nice to see you.
Hi, Harry.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's a-
one of the most interesting aspects, which I like to talk about, is how did I come in my mind as I was creating this book, uh, Zahara Teaches What is Love, was one of the questions that every writer has is how do you finish a book? When do you know it is at the end, and so on. And I had written 5 chapters, and I didn't want this book to be too big, but I really didn't have any idea of how I could complete the book. And then all of a sudden, I realized that Sydney Banks had created a very unusual book for him, the called Dear Liza, which is totally different than anything that he has ever written. And in it has the story of a little 12-year-old girl, 11, who's turning 12, taking care of a little girl 5 years old in a dilapidated old house in the 1834 in London. And the story just suddenly became aware that it was perfect 2 chapters to end the book. And so the first chapter we're going to cover today is the first half of the Dear Liza book. And I just read the first half of it yesterday again. And so the first thing I want to tell you is what Zahara reproduces is just her version of an aspect of the book. Sid's book is deeper. The feelings are deeper or more complete in what he's trying to write. But what Zahara repeats has a flavor, a very worthwhile flavor to capture. But we're recommending that you read the book to really get the full impact of the book. And some of the outstanding features for me of reading it again, almost like for the first time, we had sunshine yesterday, which is very unusual. And I really just sat out and read it in the sunshine, was a couple of very interesting things. This is really interesting, Mark. The major has a question in his mind that he's been carrying since he went to work he in the army in India. Why are the people who are so poor happier than the people who have everything? And he doesn't know the answer, but somehow he has a sense that this 12-year-old girl is going to provide that answer to him, or at least will lead him in the direction of answering that question. And the other part is that his own life is perfect. He has a beautiful wife. He lives in a castle. He has servants. He has all the money he could possibly want. But he's feeling a little stale. His life is not nourishing like he wants it to be. And worst of all, Mark, his relationship with his wife, who is very beautiful and was very loving, they seem to have gone apart. Even though they like their life together, they're not living together. And it's getting, he feels that she just has lost that spark that they had before. And he accidentally, just to spoil a little bit of the story, meets Dear Liza, and immediately his heart is touched. And that's the essence of what we're teaching in 3P. Love will touch other people's heart. It changes them. It isn't the words. It isn't the repetition of repeating Sid. It's what comes from your heart that touches other people. And in this case, the 12-year-old inspires, brings out the word that Jim loves to talk the most about, compassion. And this compassion immediately starts to affect him. And he likes it. So with that quick introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Jim.
Thanks so much, Harry.
You're more than welcome, Jim.
I want to comment on the setting of Dear Liza, 1800s.
1834. I got
1834, England. The juxtaposition of the finery of the elite nobles, who is the major, and the slums of London, where Dear Liza is found. And Sid used to love going to places like Disneyland. I believe that I've never been there, but he described a little area that had little rooms that were created in the past. You could view the past. They'd be lit. They're little displays. There's a word for it. And Sid used to love these things. I loved imagining the past. Loved people walking through and living their lives in these, imaginary situations. But he really had a fondness for that, and I think that influenced this book. The book is a book all about feelings. You don't really, put it like a psychological textbook, do you? It's an interesting little story from the past that we get caught up in, and it's the innocence of the past. The major goes into that slum area, and his footman, his driver, he wants them to, when they have an accident with the carriage, they have to replace a wheel, or one of the horses throws a shoe or something, and they have to halt. And the major's going to walk around. Says, "I'm going to walk around and check it out around here." Well, the servant says he wants them to take a gun. You got to be safe here. So there's a little bit of touch of that. It isn't all as perfect as it seems in many ways. The happiness of the people, the lightheartedness, etc. But we are given this magical little place where this story takes place, where this story happens, this setting. And on top of that, he's got a 12-year-old girl who is going to be the one with the wisdom. And that generally is not what we expect. That is not how we look at children. We don't look at children as wise. We don't look at children as people that can guide our lives, that have, that are showing us through their feelings how life works, teaching us through their feelings. So often what I love to share is the joy you get when you look at a newborn or a young child, and they're so innocent, and they're so sincere, and so kind of believing, and wanting to believe. And the thing is, when we see them, we feel it. We immediately, you've only to walk around. I take my dog for a walk around Brinkworthy, where we live, and everywhere we go, other people are walking, and they're all almost running over to us to have a little chat with my dog. They love her. She brings out their feelings of love with her innocence, and with her spunkiness, and with her puppyishness. And that is something that we're learning from daily, but we don't recognize. we're not aware of, even that we're gaining love from looking at little innocent children, which is, when we're talking about a textbook for kids, it's just layer after layer, isn't it, of the beauty of the young ones, not being recognized wholesale. We don't recognize it. We recognize it from within. We do not recognize it up here. Up here, we're the ones that have all the answers, but we don't. And if we really want the answers, just take a look at something beautiful. Take a look at an innocent human, and it comes to you. It fills you. So that I think is where Sid was heading when he chose to write this book. He chose to write a book that did not say, she does give truth, but it doesn't intellectualize all over the map. And in fact, the other part, the Dear Liza, the title, Dear Liza, which is the way all of the letters, the 100 letters that her mother had left her, advising her and sharing with her and passing on the love in the only way that she's got left as she knows she's passing. So Dear Liza, there's 10 Dear Liza letters in the book, Dear Liza. And each one of them full of that is the prime source of wisdom in the book. But along with that is what Liza teaches, what Jenny teaches. These guys are teachers. What Cookie teaches, going to the larger story, the cook in the household is a source of love for the whole household, the staff, and the bosses, the owners, the gentry. So
another aspect of the book that it isn't a three principles book.
Yeah.
It's just, it has a lot about prayer, which to me, I have never, Sid hardly talked about prayer after the initial talks. So again, it was unusual portrayal. And the other thing, the part that you're going to listen to has a tremendous amount where the rich people wonder whether dear Liza, who's so poor, whether she is lying or trying to scam them, or she is telling the truth. And it's a struggle. And it is important for people in Africa to realize that this is a normal thought process that, let's say, rich people have when they deal with the poor people. Are they deceiving them, or are they telling the truth? And so this is a test. And the major, who is a key character in this book, has to pass this test with other people telling him, no, don't trust them, which is a very normal scenario in everything we do in life. You are left alone with your own conscience, whether you are going to trust somebody or not. And in this case, as the major lets his heart leads him, the feeling leads him in the right direction.
Yeah. And you noticed, Harry, that in the book also, who does he go to for the advice? Cookie. He goes to talk to her about the problem. And she's the one that later on, she said, I'll leave it with me, and then she gets back to him and she has the solution.
Yeah.
She has the answer.
So with all of that in mind, let us now go to the story, listen to it. Hope you enjoy it.
Part 6. Zahara teaches Dear Liza. When Miss Zahara shared a little bit about the book, Dear Liza, the students of her class asked how it was possible that Liza was happy when she did not have any money, mother and father, and had to take care of Jenny, who was 5 years old, while living in a single room of an abandoned house in England, which also confused the young boys and girls as they thought everyone in England was rich. Zahara explained that in the story, Liza had acquired inner wisdom about love from her mother. Zahara mentioned that this was very similar to what she had learned from her own grandmother. Her own life would not have been as magical as it was without the teachings of Bibi. She remembered Bibi saying, "Zahara, I will answer you the question of what is love. We feel love between us. That is the love I understand. Your love instills love in my heart. It makes me feel young and hopeful. I love you, Zahara, and I know you love me. That is the love I understand. Love is not make-believe. Love is a fact. Only when we have dark, unforgiving thoughts do we color love over with darkness. Let these thoughts drift away, and what you will find is your unlimited ability to love." In fact, she said to her class, "I would never have become a teacher because I lacked the confidence to see myself in a successful way. However, once I uncovered that the love of God and the love of myself are one and the same, life seemed to blossom for me. If you cannot love yourself, I will tell you that you will never be happy and have fun in life." Zahara then began to explain the Dear Liza story to the class, which was set in 1834, of how the major, an officer in the English army, lived in a castle with his very beautiful wife, with servants, horses, and all the money that anyone would need. But he was not happy. Something was missing in his life. When he accidentally met Liza, who was trying to sell him some candlesticks on one of the poorer streets of London, which is a big city in England, she touched his heart in a loving way. In his life, the major always wanted to know what made poor people such as Liza happy under such bad circumstances, while many wealthy people like himself can be unhappy with ideal living conditions. He asked Liza why she appeared to be so happy with her life. Liza replied, "My mom always said happiness comes from our hearts, and if we can keep our hearts and heads full of nice thoughts, we will always live in contentment." As the major began to spend time with Liza and Jenny, he found they both had very bad coughs from the dampness in their very poor but clean room in an abandoned house. He got his cook to make food, his servant to bring wood for a fire to cook food and keep them warm, his wife to give clothes, and each time he shared, he felt more and more love in his heart. As the major told his wife Laura about Liza and Jenny, love began to flow more and more between them, where before he met Liza, their love was dwindling. Liza's love of God and life was affecting the major and his wife to open their hearts to loving each other once again. Zahara read from the book to illustrate this growing love. With deep tenderness in her voice, Laura asked the major to tell her more about the children and what he found so special about them. There's definitely something unique about the way those two children appreciate the smallest things. For example, when I asked Liza why she was always so happy, do you know what she replied? She said her mom told her that happy thoughts bring happy days and sad thoughts bring sad days. I tell you, Laura, there's a beautiful simplicity to her mother's words. And when Liza quoted those words, something in me stirred. The major had asked Liza why she was so pleased with her life. And this is how she answered. Sir, may I be so bold as to suggest to you that perhaps you are looking in the wrong place for your happiness? My mum always said that all the wealth in the world would never buy you happiness, and that happiness can only be found from your own heart. At this point, Zahara said, that is enough for this class, and we should now have a discussion about this story. She asked the young students if they would like to hear more of the story in another class, and they all yelled, yes, yes, yes. After telling this part of the story to the young students, she asked the following questions and had a wonderful discussion with the appreciative students. Question 1. Do you think this story will have a happy ending? Question 2. Why did Bibi say that Zahara would have unlimited love if she let the negative thoughts drift away? Question 3. Why is Liza so happy even though she has no money, no mom and dad, and no real home to live in? Question 4. What did the mom teach Liza about thought and happiness? Question 5. Is the major lucky to have met Liza? Why? She assigned her students the following homework. Tell the class tomorrow how you shared love with your mom and dad and family.
There we go. Well, luckily I can edit out the glitch and that won't be a problem, but we catch the beautiful feelings there. And I'm going to start with, we have Mark and Jim, so we'll just, the three of us will share. Is the major lucky to have met Liza, who is poor, desolate, but has a inner beauty? Either of you two, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to give it of course. He's lucky to have met Liza, and he realizes it.
That's a big point right there, Jim. Very simple, but it's not that his heart is, he feels good and he just throws it away. He realizes something is happening to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he likes it.
Yeah, he realizes it and he likes it, and not only that, but he's entered it into his world. He's in a world with it, Harry, and in that, by that I mean that he responds sympathetically, kindly, and lovingly to the situation, and he starts to share with these two little children, and so yeah, he's really lucky. And he's starting to realize the beautiful feelings of compassion.
And what struck me, just as you're talking, Jim, he's actually the poor one. He's reached the point in his life where all the material things that he has, including his beautiful wife, he's empty. He's poor spiritually. And he's recognized that. Very few people who have so much, they more worship that and give that the reason for their happiness. But he has found an emptiness in his heart, and it disturbs him greatly. He feels poor. And all of a sudden he meets somebody who doesn't have any of the material benefits that we associate with happiness, but she has that inner happiness, that inner wisdom. And she just, and also she's a cute little girl.
Sure.
Which dad cannot respond to a beautiful little wise girl smiling at him, being honest and genuine.
Yeah.
So he's only missing one piece of the puzzle. That's actually the teaching of 3P. You're only missing one piece of the puzzle. And if you can get that one piece that you already have in your heart, you'll be rich. But he starts to wake up.
Mhm.
He's asleep spiritually. And all of a sudden he starts to wake up. And his only path to this love that God teaches each person is through dear Liza. And she is opening this love because she is a vessel of love from God. And she is a living example of, for all of us, the battle we have between the material world and the spiritual world, and how we can have harmony with both of them. If you sell out to the physical world or just the spiritual world, that is not the teachings of Sydney Banks. One. And in this story, he is very simply brought together someone who has nothing but is rich spiritually with love, and one who has everything but feels an empty well, no water, no love in the well. And he wants it. I feel everybody wants it. They cover it up. They're not honest with themselves.
And here's another little side story, Harry, that we don't normally catch on this. As Liza reveals her past, she reveals to us that her mother was actually part of the aristocracy. And her grandparents, right now, if they would face up to their denial of their granddaughter, would be given such joy that they don't have. What they have is this super wealth, and what they deny is this beautiful love. So she won't go, and she won't appeal to them. And her mother did not appeal to them. So it's like they're the poor kids, and yet through their own argument about who should have and who hasn't, she's part of the elite, but unrecognized, invisible in that regard.
And that's a big part. The grandparents could help so easily, but because their daughter married out of the aristocratic or the rich class of people and married a poorer man, they could not forgive her, could not accept her, could not help her. And so she never let the mother never let the love in her heart be destroyed by the fact that her own parents were unwise or stern in their beliefs and would not bend like so many rich people are.
Yeah. And here's another one, Harry. There's this poor waif, let's call her, who has nothing, no parents. She's 11 years old, and you go back a couple of years. She's been living a couple of years now, she took in a 3-year-old who had nobody. And at that time, she was even too young for the workhouses. If nobody looked after her, there was no adoption agencies around, no social services around. So here's this, at the time she would have been 8 or 9-year-old, as the story goes, picking up this 3-year-old and taking her in and making her her little sister and raising her, caring for her, giving her everything she needs to be alive. Meanwhile, super wealthy grandparents who are miserable and not even giving, they should be taking her in and the little girl, you know what I mean? Which is what happens with the major through his channels. He doesn't take them right in, but he does look after them or
He,
You know,
he
find
just
find
grows.
find parents for
The
he
more
finds
he
parents for
shares love, and there's also an aspect of life that I feel is not talked about. When you have more, you have a power. You have a power to help those who have less. And for some reason, when people have power, they use it to dominate over the poor rather than to help uplift the poor.
well
And that
put.
is God's way, in my opinion. And the
Yeah.
major has a good heart. He is not an evil person. He is
No.
not a person who is driven by desires to be powerful and rich. But his as his heart opens up, he realizes more and more gratitude in his life that he has so much. And a little bit of food, a little bit of firewood, a little bit of blankets, a little bit of warmth for the people. And every time he shares, he experiences the same thing that Jim, Mark, and I have experienced in Africa. Every time we share, our hearts open up a little bit more. Each one of us, Emmanuel and Mark, each one of us, when we started, we all were a little stingy, a little, no, we're not going to help. I was shocked. I come into 3P in Africa and they need money. I'm used to getting money, not giving money to teach.
Yeah.
Jim, when he came in, he says, I'll help, but I'm not giving any money. Mark, the same way. Every time he give up, but the heart, each time you give, the heart opens up because you're breaking the barriers of stinginess. You're helping. And it doesn't mean you just give and give and give and give and give. That's not what I'm talking. But there are moments where you have a little bit more. Like just yesterday, this 13-year-old boy came on our previous show, and talked about how his calmness, he's now calm when he has problems and he's full of confidence from understanding, but he doesn't have, he can't, his school has given him a little bit of time to come up with $30 of Canadian dollars so he can have the semester paid. Well, I personally didn't want to pay for that. But it turned out it was good for my heart. It turned out it was the right thing to do. And yet another time I will have to say no. But this time it had to be yes. And that Mark is always faced with that. Jim is faced with that. It's so interesting. If you have a lot, reach your hearts out. Use it for something good. I mean, beyond your wife, beyond your family. Make a little bit of difference. And every time you step out of your belief system of what you can, where you share, you get closer to God. You can see it. This is the limitation we have in life. We need this to live here. You can't be here without your mind. But unless you expand, you can't connect with God or this spiritual reality that we live in, whichever way you want to describe it. And
Yeah, and another thing, Harry, the young fellow that received tuition money, he got more than that. Somebody cared. That's the thing. Somebody cared. And not only that's the ticket to hope.
absolutely,
Life is not desperate. Life is not worth nothing. My life is not only suffering, boredom, all of the terribleness of a low level starving like that. No, if somebody cares, that changes the whole life right there. Living in hope instead of living in despair.
yeah.
you know.
Emmanuel, can
You
you
can't buy
describe
it for $30, but you can give it.
Emmanuel, can you describe a little bit when the kids feel that you care, when they have so little, but that the teacher cares, or when you feel when they see someone who cares?
Thank you so much for the flow. But also, I'm very sorry for joining late the meeting. It is due to some complication of the network.
No
No
problem.
problem.
also-
Wait, that's Africa. We expect that.
Africa is very tough.
Yeah, exactly. So it is part of every show.
Yeah, thank you so much. But also, I would like to get some like 30 second or few minutes, 1 minute, I mean, of a little bit explanation because I joined late. I don't know what should I speak.
How about when the kids feel that someone else cares?
Okay. How may I feel when somebody cares
Well,
for me?
do you see that the kids need that? Jim is alluding that because this kid, his name is David, is getting money to go to school. He feels that somebody else cares for him. He has hope, where before everything looked like it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's what I've, one of the things I've learned most about Harry is how lonely these kids are. Even with parents, the parents are lonely. The parents are lost. They're powerless. They feel powerless. And who's going to help us? And there's nothing to help them. There's just a little bit, enough
That was what
enough to
was so
keep you
powerful,
starting.
about David, was he had that dear Liza feeling.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a men's group, and this 13-year-old boy shows up, and then he steps up and talks like dear Liza talks.
Ah, beautiful.
And he isn't feeling, he's feeling empowered, rather confident, strong, rather than disillusioned with it.
Mhm.
And because he shared, like dear Liza shared, it touched my heart, because normally I would not support this type of project, but it touched my heart. He deserves it. His courage, his wisdom demanded that he get a little bit extra, because he shared love and wisdom with the group.
Well, he brought you into the now.
Well,
He
you could
brought you
say it
into the
like that.
moment. He brought you into the moment. It wasn't just what you planned or what your agenda and so on. You were jerked out of your agenda and into right now.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily, welcome that right away. But
No,
when
I did
but when we
welcome it.
catch on, and when we catch on, we do, because following an agenda, having a plan, these are great. But being in the moment is what that plan is for. And usually it'll be something not written in the plan, but like that. Say, oh, okay, and jump in, and then you're gone. Whatever comes out of it comes out of it. You're just functioning in the moment, and it's a freedom.
Yeah. It it's certainly wonderful to see that you can learn from youngers, olders, everybody. But it is absolutely crucial that we understand that every moment in the day allows you to enrich your heart. Every moment is sacred. every thought is precious. Those are words, but to put it into action brings a different type of feeling, because you actually are making an intent, a commitment that is actually changing physically somebody else's life.
Mhm.
And that difference means that their life is going to be more normal, more like your life. And every time you get touched by that, you get, God gives you a feeling. And it's a feeling, I am learning to understand what God is. And I love that I only know so much. And I love that there's so much more to give. Not take, but to give. We have so much. And now we have to learn to allocate it in a more reasonable fashion.
Sharing.
It's always sharing. It's out sharing with yourself or sharing with the world.
That's right.
It's always sharing. But it's just a word until you put it into action.
Mhm.
And to share with everybody, including your enemies, is an incredible teaching. We are only apart by what we are thinking in our minds, not in our hearts. In our hearts, we are one. We love each other. But to respect another person's reality is also to help the other reality. And that is beautiful. Maybe you could say a few words about what it's meant for you to share with the people in Kenya, Mark.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying how much you guys are sharing. I'm thinking that it love, pure love, is spiritual energy. That's where it's all coming from. Ultimately, is coming from spiritual energy, the pure energy, spiritual energy behind life, and that love is the way it comes into form. It's an expression of that spiritual energy in form, and we all have it. We have to look beyond the appearances of things, and of course love ourselves, love our keep enough energy, share with ourselves, have a balance in our own life, but share compassion and love for these other people who are going through a lot, and keep their hope alive. That hope and faith are also knowledge of pure energy, the energy, the we sense it. The the major had a sense of it through his life. He wondered why poor people still have this wonderful feeling, and and a big reason is they haven't taken on all these beliefs about the importance of of the trappings of the outside. They've got a simple life, and they are close to their families, and they don't have they haven't gotten all caught up. So it's we're coming back to realizing that we're all a simple spiritual energy expressing. And our journey through life can be a long journey, or it can be a shorter journey. We're getting ourselves ready to to just stop trying so much, stop trying to understand it with our intellect so much, and get in, value these feelings, share these feelings. So people like Mark Nadea Nadea, it's hard to pronounce, but Nadea, he embodies this feeling, and Patty and Emmanuel, who left us, they have this feeling and they're sharing it and they're benefiting from the sharing of it, and so are we so much. Um, you know, so I sometimes and I'm realizing also that there, because of the hard circumstances in these camps, the refugee camps, we have a man, John, who was in one of Andre's groups, and he found such hope, and he had this incredible glow. You remember, Harry? And he had this incredible glow of hope and renewed faith in life. And then he's gone, it's part of the journey. He's gone back into thinking negatively because of the very hard, not having anything to eat all day, just water all day, maybe 2 days, and they're very hard, and here we are sitting here, we're we're trying to tell them that it's still there. The feeling can still be there. They got to keep their hope up. And like you say, we need a little support goes a long way to help them keep their hope up. And
Yeah,
us turning up.
at the right time,
Yeah. But
with the right at it. I look at it like this, Mark. It's energy, and within the energy, we have to find our harmony with the energy. And when we find our harmony with the energy, it's perfection, because
yeah,
that's the truth. We are in total harmony with the universal energy of life. When we find it, when we connect with it, and then whatever we are doing, we just have to say, yes, I will do it, because the energy is demanding, the love is demanding that we do that.
yeah. It's
So
like,
it's not us giving. It's
yeah,
more like the energy is directing it.
yeah,
And we feel that energy in our hearts. And so we participate. And with that participation comes out, you're not a drop in the ocean, but an ocean in the drop. You feel the power of God's or universal energy, not only writing a whole new script for the people that are being helped, but also a whole new, deeper dimension of thought.
yeah. It's the right use of thought. Righteousness, like Jim would say, too. Righteousness is kind of, we're guided by our conscience. If we get beyond our lostness in this world, thinking this is important, that is important, and forgetting about we get into a purer state of consciousness. We are guided by it. We listen to it. It's guiding us to express love and to stop judging and to stop, and and all we have to do is it's the right use of thought. Yeah,
Correct.
keep it
Correct.
in them.
So
Yeah.
that's all we are talking about, is the right use of thought. But Dear Liza is a story not about talking about 3P.
No.
It's talking about I guess it's a story of that Dear Liza has tapped into a level of consciousness where she just naturally shares with whatever life throws at her, comes at her. She just naturally shares in a loving way, because that's, to her, there's no other way to do it.
And she has her mother's writings,
And she has her mother's
relies
right.
on. She treasures them. She knows she knows how valuable they are. And that's her guidance for life. Um, you know, we can keep talking and trying to figure out. It's all about feelings. and there's a story I want to tell. Try and tell a quick story of Aditi in this idea of sharing. It was undirected, really. Um, the director of the school had been working for, started this school 10 years ago and was trying to get it built up into a proper school. And he had pretty well come to the end of the line. He had, you might say he was about to admit that he hadn't made it, that he wasn't going to make it. The school was about 120 kids. They maybe had 3 or 4 desks. The kids were all sitting on the floor. They had no equipment. You might say there was no soccer balls. There was nothing for the kids. As I said, the older kids, no desks, sitting on tarps, and the building's partially finished. The latrine not up to standard, and the amount of food sketchy that they were providing, doing their best, but there was an atmosphere lacking in hope. And through nothing but compassion, things started to change. And we started to have meetings, Sylvia, myself, Joseph, and Kenneth, regarding these issues. And we set out to try to solve a little bit of what we were looking at, and without enough money to do this, but with reaching out to neighbors and friends. Some chairs were bought, 50 chairs, 50 little tables, plastic ones, very, very nothing furniture, but something to sit on, something to eat your lunch on. And we started with that. And then within a month or two, we had 25 desks. These 25 desks will hold 4 or 5 students each. They're not our style of desk. They're more like a table, a bench table. And those appeared. And then it seemed like, well, there was so much more to do in the building itself. It was only about half complete, or 60% complete. There was a shell of the other part, but it was not in use. The existing classrooms were split in half by plywood so that they could get 2 rooms out of one. It was like that. And it was we had an estimate. It seemed to be, it was way beyond what we could handle. And I realized that we were getting too much into the physical of the school, and we were still carrying the 3P on, but it could be emphasized even more. We were not a rehabilitation group for a school. We were 3P teachers. So I dialed back on the money that we would have to raise, and that I didn't feel I could raise, and it was not my thing. And lo and behold, another route came forth. They went for a loan, much smaller loan than the estimate was on the repairs. We had been taken on 20 students tuition, which provided seed money for what was about to happen. And within less than a year, they now have their tables, they now have their desks. Their enrollment has increased to 300 from 120. The money from the tuition has been enough to complete that, and the small loan they took to complete the school. The plywood partitions are gone. The new rooms are opened up. They're finished. They're completed. The roof has been completed. The windows are in. A lot of other stuff has happened. They're talking of expanding the school property to include a garden. And, it's like, what happened to this school? And what really happened to the school, the kids got a soccer ball or 2. And the video from that was unbelievable. They were little girls were chasing a soccer ball all over this campus, which was nothing but, you know, hummocks and no fields, the fence half gone, and they were just squealing with delight. And when they found they had got, you know, they'd gone back into the next semester, when they found they had chairs and they found they had desks, they were like elated with the life that they were living. Parents were pulled into it. Parents have been meeting and helping the school, uh, um, learning the three principles as well, wanting to know what happened to their children, why they were turning into so happy when they themselves were not happy. They were desolate. Now it's spreading into them. It's an awakening that happens from one compassionate move, one feeling of love spread to a few, deeply, deeply committed.
And when it's the right feeling,
It just
magic,
happens.
God, energy, it just takes off. And that's our story in Africa.
Yeah,
Just
it's a terrific analogy, Harry, what happened in that school. And these folks are sharing both of the Zahara books. They're having weekly sessions with once a week, every child gets 3P instruction.
And it's not just that school, it's happening all over.
Oh, it is, Harry. I just
No, it's a
because
dynamite example, Jim.
it's a
Very,
beginning. But that's a result of compassion. You can miss it. You can think it was, oh, those new desks. No, no. Somebody cares about us. We're here. Look who we are now. We've got a place to sit. We're going to school. You know, we're going to school. They were going to school, but a lot of it was corporal punishment was in the school. It's not there now. They don't use the rod in the school, which is common in Africa. Not a daddy school.
and Success Roots has, well, it has its own story with the library. No library, but Mugisha's dream was to have a library for the school. And then somehow it attracted through me funding for it. Slowly we built the library. Now we have Sydney Banks books. We have all kinds of books in the library for the love questions.
All right. My first point was about tomorrow. Tomorrow, Monday, it's the second year of our late director from Success Roots. He will realize 2 years since he died. Our late director Mugisha.
Yeah. The library was built in honor of Mugisha.
All right. Also, number two, I was asked one question by a kid, a learner. And this learner asked me, teacher, I would like to know how can I protect myself from offering much love to my friends?
What do you mean
It was
protect?
okay. He was trying to mean that he has a friend, and that friend of his, he loves her so much. Now, by that much love, he is ready to do everything until he can even steal money from her parent and give to the friends because he loves her so much. Now, the child was realizing that the love that he's giving, he's offering to his friend was too much, was too higher. So he was asking for advice to protect himself from that much love.
Good question.
Yeah.
Whoa, you got the question, Jim?
I have it. I have a problem with the phrase "too much love."
Yeah.
But you know, we've got to be true to ourselves as well, and we've got to be honest about things. And so stealing out of what you say, stealing out of love, I have a problem with that being a logical, a logical process. You're compromising yourself when you steal. You're changing yourself. You got to love yourself first. You got to be true to yourself first. You would not be a thief. That's how I see it. You love a person, you can love that person, but that does not mean you're going to go steal for her or him, or that you're going to the law in some ways, or you're going to harm somebody else because they don't like that person or they're afraid of it. None of that is really tied to love. You're beyond love, or not beyond love, but certainly not working from love if you're going to go do illegal actions or things that you would not normally do, that you do not want to do, that is not correct for you to do, out of trying to impress somebody. That's
Well,
not.
it really depends whether the person is acting out of security or insecurity.
Yes.
If they're acting out of insecurity, then it is the wrong use of thought, the wrong use of love. When you are insecure, you're needy, and and the person needs attention. He does it from a good intention, but the wrong feeling. If he had the right feeling, he would be in balance with himself, and also secure enough to know that who he is enough to share with people. The bottom line in every question that we have, the answer lies in just being yourself is good enough. What Jim is sharing, good enough. It's him. He sees it. And the person will be touched not by his words, maybe by his words, but more by the feeling of genuineness. And Jim mentioned a very important word, honesty. Every person has to be honest with themselves. If you steal or you do things, getting money from your parents or whatever, for it in a dishonorable way, or in a way that isn't honest, you're deceiving no one except yourself. I have when I worked with the Native American Indians, one man got a big inheritance and he put a big house up, but then he went to drugs, cocaine, and all these people came, and he provided them with all the cocaine and food. They destroyed his house. All his money got spent, and all that happened was he got hooked on cocaine. It wasn't the right thing to do with what he had. So when you get insecure, you step into insecure actions. And when you're secure, you step into what is right for you. But the bottom, even deeper, a deeper dimension of thought is you have to be yourself. It's more than enough.
Yeah.
I cannot please you, Emmanuel. I cannot please the director. I cannot please, but when I am talking to you, I am honest with you. Do you understand that?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Then you respect me enough to be comfortable with me. And I am but I have to be comfortable in my own skin. The person who steals or gets money for people to like him, that is not a happy person. That is a person that's trying to buy happiness because he feels insecure. And it's a way of many rich people. They feel if their money speaks for them. And unfortunately for a lot of people, they respect people because they're rich. rather than they may be rich and stupid and greedy and insecure. And many rich people are very insecure, very, very insecure. We have a president of the United States, to me, looks like one of the most insecure people I've ever seen. So he has unlimited power, unlimited resources. Everything he touches creates fights, negativity.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe
Thank you.
maybe not everything, but most, most everything. And he's not a bad man. He's just a man who believes what he believes in. So
yes.
So tell the people to be secure with that they have enough just being themselves. And that's the truth. You, even though you are teaching in a refugee camp, you have more than enough to be happy with yourself and how you share.
Yes.
And guess what? You can teach Mark and Harry and Jim a thing or two.
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you suggest that? Oh, impossible. Just
Impossible.
just a bad joke. It just
the opportunity is there.
Always in the now, as Jim would say. The opportunity is there in the now to share a beautiful feeling. And God has already forgiven you. So just forgive yourself for all your past mistakes. Yeah. And so on. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what we are teaching the kids. This 13-year-old boy who stepped up, who has nothing, has a hat, with the flaps down, and little kid, all adults around, walks up, it's full of confidence, full of wisdom. It just says, when I have negative thoughts, I've learned to calm those all down, and everything seems to work out great. And now he's teaching his friends in school about that. He's just dear Liza, just in a different form, type of thing.
Yeah.
And we have three teachers here of the 3P in Africa, and you are also a teacher, of course, in it as well.
Yes.
Each one of us teach in a totally different way. I want you to understand that. Each one, totally different type of teacher. Each one shares in their own individual expression of what they see and feel. We have a common bond, a common message, but the way we approach it. And what I have found is, as the leader of 3P in Africa, Jim wants autonomy. Mark wants autonomy. They need to express themselves in their way, not the way Harry says. And what I have found is they have flourished in that. Flourished. They have enjoyed the freedom, but they have earned the freedom. With my, they have shown me that they have a good heart.
Yes.
And I'm not doubting their wisdom. Nothing to doubt. They're not perfect, I know that. But neither am I. In fact, if anybody was probably imperfect more than anybody else,
Yes.
Yes. So why should I be upset that they are not perfect? But they have something that is sparking love, the expression of love in Africa.
Yes.
You have something that is sparking the expression of love. Is there going to be a celebration for Mugisha tomorrow?
Yes, we are preparing to do so, but we have shifted it since the tomb is not built yet.
I didn't understand. Anyway, good luck
Okay.
with it. Good
Okay.
luck with it.
I was saying that the celebration was had to be tomorrow. It was prepared to be tomorrow, but according to the meeting of the staff, we have tried to shift it in more next 2 months,
Well, when it
because his tomb is not constructed yet. Is not
the cemetery too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
So
when
we
it
are
is,
planning to do it within 2 weeks, with then 2 next weeks. So after constructing the tomb, now we shall celebrate.
great. Well, when it happens,
Yeah.
invite me to say a few words.
All right.
I would appreciate that.
All right. We shall let you know.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I want everyone to understand that 3P in Africa started with Mugisha.
Yes.
He contacted me via Facebook, and within 15 minutes, I was invited in. But I was surprised because I didn't know anything about Naka Valley Refugee Camp. I thought it was one big area and not 78 villages in it. I did not understand anything that would happen. So the first class, Jim, guess what? No, the internet doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they don't and they don't have an internet connection at all. And I start to realize, I say, no internet connection.
Oh.
It looks like Harry has to pay for that. and Emmanuel, I'm used to the client paying for it. I understand you didn't have money, but I have to pay to teach? What is this about? Yeah, but anyway, that's how it started. And then I had certain clients, Emmanuel, that helped, gave donations to help it in the first year. From my own money, and that's how it basically started. And then Jim came in, he got some of his own money and other donations. Mark came in and the same thing, and then Shelia has been has brought in the most. And
yeah,
so we can only deal with what we have. That is part of our message. We would love to give you more. I would love the library to have a computer. I'd love the school to have 15 computers. But we don't. But that comes as it comes. That is what 3P is about. We deal with the reality of what is given. We say thank you, but we also understand that we still have to earn a little bit more spiritual currency to get a little bit more money, type of thing. And together, we have found that this has been a really fun journey for Jim, Mark, and Harry. And we are going to be talking at a big conference in June, the 3P UK conference, and who knows what that will touch. It will, it is an opportunity of a lifetime and a dream come true. And so on. Yeah. And I'm really, really honored and pleased that is happening, but not for myself. It's the opportunity for people to hear Africans and to hear the 3P in Africa story and to have hope. That spiritual love is the direction that our teacher was pointing towards.
Are we eligible to join that congregation?
Every African, good question. Every African, this is unusual because it's money, and every African will be given the free connection for the 3-day conference, not only to learn from Harry and Jim and and the 5 Africans who are going to present. Jurin, by the way, will be one of the presenters, just to let you know.
Wow.
And so every African who's part of it will have a free connection for the 3, and you will learn from not only us but other leading teachers in 3P, so you'll be able to, and it'll be a closer time because England is closer to Africa than Canada is close to Africa. It's only 2 hours difference, Jim, and
Wow.
So yes, you will have the free access, and it's June 22nd, Sunday to Tuesday, and you will learn a lot. And what is beautiful, you will learn from other teachers than just us 3. That is very, very.
I'm really interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure you get I'll send it to you directly, and let everybody know, Emmanuel, that
Yes.
that is coming, and it is free, and for everybody else, it's they have to, most everybody. There are something, but it's a special invitation from the leaders of 3P in UK,
Yes.
that all Africans are free to attend.
All right. I'll let everyone know, especially those 3P teachers, as you said.
Yeah. It's free for anybody who is interested, and it'd be a wonderful way to learn more from different teachers. Because we have 3 teachers here who teach different, they teach different as well. But I will tell you one thing, these 3 teachers, us 3, we teach the spiritual direction of how we create the human condition. The others will teach a little bit more the psychological direction of how we create the human condition.
All
have a question, Mark, before we say good? You got your hand raised.
Hello, everybody. We cannot end the session without talking. That's why I thank for you to accept me to talk. I was not feeling well because I saw it was only one person who was talking. Even me, I was thinking to talk, but no matter how we thank what he's sharing, it is very key important. And also I asked if comes in Kenya to talk on that conference.
Sorry, what? I missed. Did you get that, Mark? I didn't quite grasp.
I say, even in Kenya will be there on that conference on June.
Yeah, absolutely. That not only for Uganda, in the Congo, anybody in Africa who are Africans will be free to listen to the 3-day conference, of which there's the main session, which will be like it's called a hybrid conference. There are live people, let's say 200-300 live people, maybe 500, 700, about 1,000 people virtual, and we will be virtual. Shelia will be there in person, and we will make 3 presentations, Mark, to the main group, which will include the 4 non-Africans plus 5 Africans sharing for an hour, and then a breakout group where Jim and Mark and I and Shelia will share, and then there'll be 2 10-minute videos that they're going to play at the beginning of the 2nd day and the 3rd day. And in it, I will take an excerpt from what you have shared at 3PAE and put that in there as well. So you will actually be presenting at the conference, but virtually on the video. Isn't that cool?
Thank you, thank you. Will you be happy? Will you be happy?
Yeah. So you will be there as a presenter as well, but through the video that we are going to make, and I'm going to take an excerpt from it. Joseph as well, Jim, will be, so we will take, and we'll make it 10 minutes and each presentation. So we are the most honored of anybody there. We are going to be at the main pluminary, the breakout group, and also the video type of thing. And in the talk of the breakout, I'm going to try and speak very little and let each of the presenters have a good sharing. And then we will of course make a video of it, and we'll post the video as well. So it is a big, and it also gives us, Emmanuel, an opportunity to touch people's hearts, and hopefully they will send some money for things like your library computer.
Oh, of course, we shall do it.
If the money comes, more than glad to share it. If it doesn't come, we have to say we will try somewhere else. But it is a great, very big offering. And the same thing, we are doing a big sharing at Homa Bay, which we are also opening up. That's May 17th. And it's Shelia, myself, Martha, and grandfather, the bishop, and that will also be open to people as well, type of thing. And that has Jim and Mark, that has attracted from the donor an unbelievable amount, so that everyone will have lots of food. We have bought a router, and everything is provided 100% with more than we need.
You said it will be in June, on the 20th?
June 22nd to June 24th. I will send you do I have your email address, Emmanuel?
I don't think so. I would like also to
put it in the chat here, and I will put it in and send you the dates and the time. And also for Jim and Mark, I'm going to send you the write-up. We're going to get a big promotion from 3P UK. Big.
Should I put it where? In the chat?
So June 22nd to June 24th, and May 17th for the Homa Bay conference.
All right. So should I put my email where? In the chat?
In the chat here, and then I could if you put it in there.
Okay.
And then we will do that. So I think it's time for us to say aloha. I stole your line, Jim. Where's oh yeah, there it is. There, just let me copy. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, and to everybody, and just to let people know, we have been averaging about 200 plus Facebook Live views. So it is not just the people here that is sharing, but in a way, it is good that there are only a few people, because it allows us to share different feelings. And it is important to notice, Emmanuel, no course development. Jim and I did not talk before. And in fact, Gerwin was supposed to be here too, but you took his place today. So that is great. But there's no preparation. There is just natural flow. One of the things I have noticed as I listen to some of the old talks, when I have a lot of notes, it still sounds choppy. When I just talk natural, it flows. It has a more natural flow to it, and I have noticed that. When I have notes, I would it's just not as natural flowing. So, and of course, Jim and I love the Dear Liza story, and we love the Zahara Teaches What is Love story. So it is easy for us to share But important to note, if we came on tomorrow, we would be talking about something different. We would not be talking the same thoughts. They would be
All right.
always original thoughts.
Yes.
That is the
Yeah.
teaching of 3P. The more original it comes from you, and not from memorization of Sid, not from memorization of Mark or Harry or Jim. The more it comes from you, the more you understand your true relationship with God. And
Yeah.
that is what you want. And that is
Yes.
that is always the bottom line. If you're honest with yourself, you are understanding your true relationship with God. And
Yeah.
that is what we want the kids to understand. And we know there are challenges. We know it is harsher. But with beautiful teachers like yourself, the kids will have hope and wisdom. Wisdom too. Beautiful.